Are you in denial, Tori?
No, you're in denial.
Okay,
What's
and
getting ready to
you come
happen?
to call me out.
What's getting ready to happen, Chris?
We're going through a transition, and
Transition of what? He's not gonna say it. He's not gonna say it. Say it.
it. We're going through a transition of ownership of my company.
We're going through a transition of ownership
Yeah,
of the company.
yeah. It's been a process,
Yes, it has.
and it's
Uh,
been several months. And yeah, I've been in denial a little bit in terms of since this is something I've done for 37 years and I love it and I don't really want to leave it, so I'm not. But I do think it's time to let you take over the reins and lead us to great, greener new pastures.
what if I just said no thanks? I'm kidding. This has really been like one of the most exciting but toughest seasons, just from a like dynamic of father daughter, owner employee. It's just been really packed with emotion. Would you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah. Emotions are something that our body has that warns us when something's wrong. And so you need to pay attention when you have emotions like, is it anger? Is there conflict? Um, is there opposition? Is there confusion? Those emotions like make you stop and think, okay, wait a minute, I need to get clarity to understand what's going on here. And that's when I need to go listen to God and say, like, I'm feeling some sort of way here. What do I need to know? Like what am I not seeing? What's causing this confusion? And so me and you have had to do that a lot for the past few months because there's hard things to deal with when you're talking about transferring ownership of a company. Things that we would have never thought of that we just thought would be seamless, even though even we both want that and are both trying to make it as simple as possible. There's some unseen challenges that there's no way to prepare for.
Yeah, I would say part of that too, beyond just like the the legal aspect and all that comes with that. There's the layers of culture and decision making and things that it's like, okay, at what point are we going on your vision? At what point are we going on my vision? When when do you trust my vision? When do you say, no, you're not ready? Like all those things have come up, and it's just been really painful because it's like if there's been times when you're like, no, I still need to make this decision. I'm not only taking it it's I'm not only taking it from like a, oh, he's not ready for me to step into leadership, but also like, does that mean my dad doesn't trust me yet? Like, there's just so many
There's
layers
a yeah
to it.
that whole dynamic of a father's love for his daughter, like we know that's unnegotiable and that's just a given. But I can see how you feel that way. Like when we're arguing or discussing really, really, really hard things, it's hard not to take it personal. There are things that I see that you're capable of and taking the company forward that I feel like you're more qualified to do that than I am. It is hard from, as long as I've done this, it's been all I've ever known and all I've ever done to realize, like I should do it this way. Tori wants to do things this way. I trust my gut on, like this is how I've always done it. This to me is the right way. But to, I guess, see that over and
Hmm.
it's
And then
just,
from my standpoint, like, you have done things a certain way. And at what point do I say, okay, just because it's been that way doesn't mean we have to? And like trusting my gut and
yeah.
learning when to trust, hey, I think we should try this.
And I do. And anytime I disagree with you or that anytime that there's conflict in that, it's really just because if I see you doing something that I think's wrong, it literally comes from a place of love. Like, man, I got to stop her from going that direction because like, I know that's going to a bad place. So that's the motivation. But, it comes across as just conflict for the sake of conflict.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to stop that. I'm trying to not do that, and let you have more free reign of decision making. And so I think as I move into my new world more fully, it'll be easier to let go.
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. Identity, because that's what we've talked about on the other episodes, how our identity plays into our workplace. So you,
And it's about us stepping into our identity
yeah,
more than ever, more in depth than ever.
yes, you've always been, I mean, in my mind, you've been operating out of your identity very well as a marketing agency owner. But there's been some things happen over the last couple of years that kind of have revealed a new layer of identity for you, I think.
Well,
Um,
yeah, because I've been involved in reentry work from prison with incarcerated individuals and prison ministry and stuff like that for over 20 years. And I've always had a heart for that, people that are incarcerated and then coming out of incarceration and trying to reenter society successful is very rare. I mean, 80 some percent of those people go right back to prison. So I've worked with a lot of groups and organizations and individuals over the years that have tried to help with that. And so somehow, like, yeah, that's something I felt very strongly about, and some opportunities opened up for me to be able to do that. And I didn't feel like I was making a decision like, oh, I want to leave marketing and work more in the reentry field. It was just like a tidal wave washing me that way. Like
mm,
you were ready to step up and kind of start taking things over, and I felt God pulling me in this direction and
mhm.
or leading me, and it just happened.
I
Like
think
I
that's
didn't even make the
I
decision.
think that's cool because anytime God puts something in your heart like that, because I've seen growing up all the things you've been involved with reentry, it's been a recurring like seemingly random theme, but it's actually not. It's very intentional, and I do believe God put that in your heart. And when He does put those things in your heart, He's very intentional about making the path for us. And you have not had to beat down doors for these opportunities to open up. It's just been a very natural progression because you're operating out of your identity.
They just come. Like the
Yeah.
opportunities just come.
And I feel that's kind of the same thing with me stepping into um, more authority at Cumberland is I've been doing it for literally almost 15 years now. Um, but it's like all of a sudden, okay, I'm not clawing and scraping trying to get to the top. It's just like I know in my heart I'm supposed to do this. It's extremely scary. I've watched you, my whole life and as a small business owner, like it's brutal. Like there's a lot
Yeah,
of
it's not
ups and
easy.
downs. So I don't for a second think I'm like signing up for just this fun
Vacation.
ride. Like it's an absolute roller coaster. But it's crazy to me because like in one of our hardest business seasons, that's when I look back and I'm like, I just knew like this feels really low and like hard, but there's something inside of me that's like made for this.
Yeah.
And I think that's when you know too, because it's like that's the moment you think you should throw in the towel. And there was literally conversations I remember having with you, like, I don't think I can do what you do. Like it's a lot. And then you go through a season where oh I this the season specifically I remember it was nothing there was nothing I could do. It was literally just a spark inside of me that was like that I believe God put in my heart like, hey, I'm going to help you through this.
Yeah, I remember that weekend a couple of years ago, and I felt like you were ready to throw in the towel and just like, this ain't for me,
Yeah.
like at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you were at. And then for you to get that clarity, then that was pretty strong. Like, it's a pretty strong statement. And we both still remember that. But, it's like, yeah, there's that. But then there's also like your whole life. I've seen you exhibit signs of leadership, and I always knew that you would be in something that you where you're an organizer.
Hmm.
The way you think and are able to execute on things will translate well into leadership. I
Yeah.
just hate it from a father standpoint to see my daughter go through the thing, like knowing all the things I went through. I would love to shelter you from that, but that's just life, and you're gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I'll be here and be a cheerleader and a supporter, and I'll watch you. And good luck.
Well, I have had a lot of time to think about what is it about this role as, owning a marketing agency. What is it about it for me that's like keeping me going, or what's the joy in it? And because I really like when you have hard days, you've got to be able to go back to that, like, what is it that's keeping me going? And it really is this just intense passion for when our team is able to create a path forward for the partners that we're working with. And I'm able to use my skill set in, helping organize a path forward. Like, that's when I come alive. And I've just realized how many identities on our team are helping like light that path for people, and that is my vision for moving forward. And it's cool because it's not some crazy difference between what you've been doing for the last 37 years. It's just um, putting a new voice to it and saying like, hey, we're still going to create paths forward for our partners through the avenue of marketing, and we're going to all bring our own identities to the table to help the people who need our help.
Okay, one thing I would clarify after hearing you say that, it's like when I speak about the challenges or the things that were really hard, or I mean that's a small portion. Most of it, 90 some percent of it, is really rewarding
Mm-hmm.
as far as running a business and being able to be in a place that we are where we can help clients in such a fundamental way of finding their true brand and then being able to communicate that. I mean, it's a lot. It's so much like helping a person like find their identity, because once they find identity, it sets them free.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with companies. I was thinking about the value. There's no way to really define the value of finding your true identity and then being able to live in that and carry that out and live it, um, until you know the cost of false identity,
Mm-hmm.
because that will lead you down wrong paths and it will lead to very unfulfilling lives. And so finding truth, it's like it's amazing when you do recognize what God put you here for, what he made you to do, but then be able to have the guts to go live in that. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole nother step.
Yeah. And honestly, I think like before we made the announcement to our team that like, okay, this is like actually getting ready to happen, I think that there was a period of a couple months when we were both kind of in a weird identity crisis, because I feel like you kind of knew it's time to let me lead. I knew it was time, but I'm like, I don't want to overstep or hurt my dad, or can I even really do this? So there was moments I think for both of us of living in a somewhat false identity of knowing when it's time and then actually taking the step when you know it's time.
Yeah. But there was no doubt as far as it's time
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
like it's time for me to go and work in a field that I would have never dreamed in my life, but have just found so rewarding. And just it's like when it's right, it, and there's a clarity there. So I mean, I'm not worried about legacy. I just don't feel like, I mean, what I've done, the good and the bad, and it's in the past, and I just loved it, loved my life till now, but got a different direction to go. So I don't think about that whole legacy thing. You're going
Tell
to create a new one moving forward.
tell me about how your new path forward is going to impact other people.
Well, I mean, it's just going to be on an individual. It's more on an individual basis than what I'm used to working with companies and their brands and their brand identity. This is more on one-to-one individuals trying to build a winning life plan when they come out of prison, to learn how to live independently, um, when you have freedom and you get to set your day and the rules. It's a challenge. I didn't realize it until that some of the guys that I've worked with up close, like how budgeting, like no idea on that budgeting money and how they spend that, and that they come out of prison normally without money,
Hmm.
and you have to have money in order just to get your license, to get and to get a car, and so that you can have a job. It's just like those basic fundamental things that we all take for granted. If you come out of prison and you don't have somebody that's supporting you, if you don't have family that are supporting you, which most of them don't, I mean, I don't know how anybody, and that's why it's so high, 80 some percent go right back, because you can't navigate that
Hmm.
without somebody to help. Where are you going to live? How are you going to find somewhere to live if you don't have family to support you? So it's just like trying to invest in getting them that head start, at least to give them a chance of being able to come out and stay out and build a successful life plan,
Yeah.
just to operate in society.
That's so, it's so bold of a move, like at this stage of your life. People have asked me, like, oh, is your dad getting ready to retire? I'm like, oh no, he's just like
I'm
cranking up,
just,
he's just cranking up the heat, going to like do something even more impactful than what he was
yeah, I
doing.
feel like I'm just getting started.
Yeah. What is your, I feel like I need to be
It's
soaking
just,
in all of your good advice. Like, what's the one thing you would tell me as a business owner that you've come back to year after year?
uh, you're gonna have hard decisions. I think that the main thing is once you get clarity, when you understand you're having an emotional, like, hey, something's wrong here, or some decision needs to be made, and they come at you all the time. Uh, Taking the time to get clarity, and then knowing, okay, this is what I feel in my gut, and go that direction, and then just be strong about it. Because people will be pulling you from all directions, wanting you to do this or wanting you to do that. And you have to be able to trust your intuition and gut. Once you know the right direction to go, do it and don't look back.
Solid.
Be
I
strong.
feel like I'm already experiencing that and like, trying to
Well, there's multiple
work through that.
people that you want to try to please,
Hmm.
um, that have different ideas and different, pulling you in different directions. And it's brutal sometimes. Like, like, man, once you realize you can't please everybody, you just quit trying.
See, I don't think I'm like to that point yet, but I know I'll get there.
Yeah. Well, that's why I mean, as old as I am, like,
Well, you kind
yeah,
of like, I guess you just eventually don't have a choice. Like, you just have
right.
to, like, you
You
have to
just
get
get,
over it or it'll eat you alive.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just get salty. Like, I don't even mean to be, it's just,
So that's what's wrong with you.
yeah. I mean, like, I just can't care about some things because,
Mm.
but the other thing would be the concept of enough. Like, once you believe that and have faith that God is always going to provide. You fight the wars, you do the things, you go out and try to win the battles. At the end of the day, there'll always be enough. So don't worry about that. There's enough to worry about without worrying about the resources part of it and the money. That has to be a faith, trust thing.
There's a sign that I saw recently that says leave room for miracles. And it just struck me because I feel like I want to be the type of business owner that, yes, I put my best foot forward every day and I try to make the best decisions that I possibly can. But ultimately, I know who's in control and it is not me. And it's okay to leave room for miracles. It's okay to not have every single answer because there is one greater than me who's working on my behalf. And he's the one who put the desire to lead within me. So I do believe that he's with me and I can trust that. So going back to like peace over pressure, that's like the whole way of leading a company through the lens of leaving room for miracles. Like, there's not many people doing that. It's like, we got to have the exact plan. We got to know, XYZ. And I think there's a lot of good in that. And I want to be intentional with how I lead, but I'm going to leave room for miracles. I've seen too many to not. And that is directly from being under your leadership. So I honor you for that, because there was times when you left room for miracles and
Didn't have a choice.
Didn't have a choice, but I think given the choice, I want to leave room for those because those were the most meaningful times.
Yeah, we've experienced some together.
Hmm.
Um,
A lot of that too is through connection. I feel like the last year there's just been some really strong connections that God has opened doors for me personally that I'm just like, I couldn't have in my wildest dreams orchestrated something like this. And I think I can keep going. If God's the one opening these doors, like I do have the endurance to keep going.
yeah. Yep. And you will.
Mhm. Well, Chris, I wish you luck on your.
Psych. I'll be going now.
Oh,
you're
okay.
you're probably going to be surprised at how much I am still around, and um, or dismayed. I don't know, but I don't
Dismayed.
plan to just leave. I still want to have an office there. I still want to work with some of my clients that I've worked with for years. So I'm not
Yeah,
entirely
you're not
leaving.
going. He's not gone anywhere. He's still there. I will say we're not, you know, together as much as we were, but it's not been a bad thing.
Yeah, really? Yeah. No, I know. If I'm not there, you're probably in there celebrating and happy. But uh, no, seriously, I won't be at the office as much, and there I will have other things going on. But um,
But you're still my first call on everything. I mean, like how many times a day do we, even though we're not physically together as much, like I'm still calling you all the time.
yeah, well that ain't gonna continue as far as like you. You will start making your own decision. You won't need right now. Just in the time of transition,
I
there's
just
kind
have
of
to
like
call
a
you
lot
and
of
be like, "What
awkward.
would you do?" And then I go and do the opposite of that.
Yeah. So that's why I'm gonna quit answering. But there in the time of transition, there's just a lot of things that we both have to sign off on.
Yeah.
And that has been a big learning experience, I guess.
Yeah. So more to come on this because we're actually going through a brand refresh. Uh, I'm excited to get to share more of that in the coming weeks, but it's too soon to show anything or talk about anything.
Well, and honestly, it's difficult being transparent through a transition. Uh, I didn't realize I'd have a hard time talking about some of this to just to anybody that could stumble across this. But I know us and the people at the company kind of know this, but um, yeah, it's not easy to open up about that because there's a lot of challenges and um, yeah, I don't
It's
know.
not just like our one scenario of ownership transition. I think there's so many people going through transition of some kind in their life that it's kind of applicable to a lot of other cases too. Like when you're facing big transitional seasons, are you going to stuff those emotions, like pretend they're not there, deal with them in unhealthy ways, or could you just talk about it openly and say like, actually I'm having a really hard time knowing that I'm getting ready to step into this or that I'm getting ready to step out of this.
Yeah, if we're gonna have the guts to talk about identity and really get down to that with people and with companies, we got to have the guts to actually do it ourselves
Hmm.
and be open about it.
Yeah. And I
Like
want to
this.
say too, like identity is not your occupation. And we're finding that out because your identity is just following you into the next chapter. It's not
Yeah,
like you've
yeah. I'm not saying like my identity was wrong for
right.
37
No,
years. I'm
it's
doing
like
something
it's
else. Like
more of just like this, like God elevates you to the next thing of because of what he's put inside of you and because, he's been preparing you all this time. So I want to just like formally say your identity is not your occupation. It's just what's inside of
yeah.
you that
So
you
have the
know.
guts to search it out. First of
Hmm.
all, ask and to listen. That's the first easiest step, and nobody hardly ever takes it.
Hmm.
Just taking the time to listen. God wants to tell you He made you. He wants to put, He wants to bless you. He wants to give you all that He wants to give you and chase you with goodness. But if you don't ever stop and listen and get clarity on it, you just, you know, you're going to miss that all your life.
I never really knew if, like, when the time came for ownership transition to happen, I never knew if that was going to be like a really sad thing or like a, you just don't really know what to expect. But now that like we're right in the middle of it, it's like, it's just really, I don't even know
Not
how,
that bad.
it's not that bad. It's just kind of like
I
a,
I feel blessed beyond measure. Like no words to think that I've been able to do this and then to be able to transition out and it still be healthy and moving forward.
mhm,
And our company is probably going to grow from here and be even more successful under your leadership because God's been preparing you for that. So I'm the most blessed person in the world to see that happen. Even if it wasn't my daughter, if it's just somebody else, to think, wow, our employees are, they're going to get to grow and they're going to get to do great new things. And so that's the biggest blessing in the world for me. But to multiply that because, oh well, that's my daughter that's doing that. So
yeah. I'm just super grateful. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. I'm just like, as hard as all of it is and chaotic, it's just the overriding emotion is gratitude because for the last 15 years of my life, getting to work with you on such a close basis has been such a roller coaster, but also an honor. And I'm just appreciative.
yeah. Well, we'll stay tuned. We'll see how it we'll see how it unfolds.